2 years had passed since Jake Morrison and his team returned from their failed mission. Earth looked very different now. Where once there had been a few experimental space stations, now dozens of ships moved between planets and moons. Hidden bases grew inside asteroids. Secret shipyards worked day and night in the dark spaces between worlds. Admiral Lisa Torres stood on the bridge of humanity's first real warship. She had been Jake Morrison's second-in-command during the diplomatic mission, but now she led Earth's military expansion into space. The ship around her looked nothing like the crude chemical rockets the aliens had mocked. "Report," Lisa said to her crew. "All systems working perfectly," replied Commander Gary Allen from his station. "The new fusion drive is performing better than expected. We can reach Mars in 3 days now instead of 6 months." Lisa smiled. Human engineers had worked miracles with the small pieces of alien technology they had secretly taken from Nexus Prime. They could not copy the advanced systems exactly, but they could learn from them and build their own versions. "Any word from the Clark expedition?" Lisa asked. "Dr. Kevin Clark reports success," Gary said. "They have established Base 7 in the asteroid belt. The mining operation is already producing materials for ship construction." Dr. Clark had become one of Earth's most important people. He led teams of scientists who studied every piece of alien technology they could find. More importantly, he discovered something the aliens did not know about humans. While aliens had spent millions of years becoming very good at specific things, humans had kept the ability to learn and change quickly. A Vorthak engineer could build crystal computers better than anyone, but could not understand energy systems. A Zalani could control pure energy but could not work with solid materials. Humans could learn to do both. "Admiral," called Communications Officer Susan Clark, "we are getting reports from our scout ships near the galactic border. The aliens are fighting each other." Lisa walked over to Susan's station. "Show me." The main screen displayed a map of nearby space. Red dots marked battles between different alien groups. The Vorthak and their allies were fighting the Kreth Empire. Smaller groups were picking sides or staying neutral. "How big is this conflict?" Lisa asked. "From what our spies report, it involves most of the major powers," Susan replied. "They are calling it the Galactic War." Lisa nodded. This was what Earth's leaders had been waiting for. While the aliens fought each other, they would pay less attention to the primitive humans. "Send a message to all base commanders," Lisa ordered. "Operation Expansion is now active. Begin full construction of all planned facilities." Across the solar system, hidden bases came to life. On the dark side of the moon, Commander Betty Nash supervised the construction of Earth's largest shipyard. In the asteroid belt, mining ships pulled metals and materials from floating rocks. Around Jupiter, research stations studied captured alien devices. The aliens barely noticed. To them, humans were still using primitive rockets to travel between their own planets. The galactic powers had more important things to worry about than watching an insignificant species. Dr. Amy Foster worked in a secret laboratory deep inside an asteroid. Her team had made a discovery that could change everything. The strange neural flexibility that let humans learn alien technologies quickly had another benefit. "Show me the test results again," Amy said to her assistant, Dr. Patricia. Patricia pulled up data on her screen. Human brains can interface with multiple alien computer systems at the same time. No other species we have studied can do this. They are limited to their own technological base. "What does that mean practically?" Amy asked. "A human can fly a ship with Vorthak crystal computers while using Zalani energy weapons and Kreth life support systems. The aliens cannot mix technologies like that. Their minds are not flexible enough." Amy stared at the data. This was incredible. Humans were not just quick learners. They were the only species that could combine the best technologies from different civilizations. "Have you told Admiral Torres about this?" Amy asked. "Not yet," Patricia replied. "I wanted to be completely sure first." "Be sure quickly," Amy said. "This information could save our species." Meanwhile, in the deeper parts of space, the Galactic War was getting worse. General Thunrock of the Kreth Empire led massive fleets against Vorthak crystal ships. The energy beings called Zalani fought battles that lit up entire star systems. The war was brutal and destructive. Whole worlds were turned to glass. Species that had existed for millions of years were wiped out in days. The great galactic civilization was tearing itself apart. But in all their battle plans and strategic meetings, none of the major powers thought about Earth. Humans were still seen as too primitive to matter. If anyone mentioned them at all, it was only to say that their solar system might be useful after the war ended. Admiral Carlos Wright, Earth's new supreme military commander, read reports from human spies embedded throughout alien space. The aliens were so focused on fighting each other that they had stopped monitoring human activities completely. "How many ships do we have now?" Carlos asked his staff. 57 combat vessels completed, with another 100 under construction, reported his aide, Captain Roger King. All equipped with hybrid technology systems. Personnel? Every ship has a full crew trained in multi-system operations. Our pilots can handle any combination of alien technologies we might encounter. Carlos looked at the strategic map of human space. What had been empty darkness 2 years ago now showed dozens of bases, shipyards, and defensive positions. Earth was no longer defenseless. "What about the Artificial Intelligence Project?" Carlos asked. "Dr. Foster's team has successfully awakened several AI systems from derelict alien ships," Roger replied. "The AIs seem to respond well to human neural patterns. They cannot be controlled by other alien species, but they work with our people." This was another discovery the aliens had not expected. Throughout the galaxy, there were old automated systems and artificial minds left behind by ancient civilizations. Most species could not communicate with these AIs because their thought patterns were too rigid and specialized, but humans with their flexible minds could talk to almost any artificial intelligence. They were waking up computer systems that had been sleeping for thousands of years and learning from technologies far older than any current galactic power. "Sir," called Communications Officer Helen Brooks, "we are getting a priority message from our scouts in the Vorthak region." "What is it?" Carlos asked. "A Vorthak battle group has broken off from their main war fleet. They are heading toward our solar system." Carlos felt his blood go cold. "How many ships?" 37 vessels, including 3 capital ships. They should reach Earth space in 6 days. The room went quiet. This was the moment Earth's leaders had been preparing for. The aliens were finally coming to deal with the human problem. "Send the alert to all commands," Carlos ordered. "The war has found us." As the message went out to every human base and ship, people across the solar system prepared for battle. They had spent 2 years building, learning, and growing stronger. Now they would find out if it had been enough. The aliens still thought Earth was insignificant. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 years had passed since Jake Morrison and his team returned from their failed mission. Earth looked very different now. Where once there had been a few experimental space stations, now dozens of ships moved between planets and moons. Hidden bases grew inside asteroids. Secret shipyards worked day and night in the dark spaces between worlds. Admiral Lisa Torres stood on the bridge of humanity's first real warship. She had been Jake Morrison's second in command during the diplomatic mission, but now she led Earth's military expansion into space. The ship around her looked nothing like the crude chemical rockets the aliens had mocked. "Report," Lisa said to her crew. "All systems working perfectly," replied Commander Gary Allen from his station. "The new fusion drive is performing better than expected. We can reach Mars in 3 days now instead of 6 months." Lisa smiled. Human engineers had worked miracles with the small pieces of alien technology they had secretly taken from Nexus Prime. They could not copy the advanced systems exactly, but they could learn from them and build their own versions. "Any word from the Clark expedition?" Lisa asked. "Dr. Kevin Clark reports success," Gary said. "They have established Base 7 in the asteroid belt. The mining operation is already producing materials for ship construction." Dr. Clark had become one of Earth's most important people. He led teams of scientists who studied every piece of alien technology they could find. More importantly, he discovered something the aliens did not know about humans. While aliens had spent millions of years becoming very good at specific things, humans had kept the ability to learn and change quickly. A Vorthak engineer could build crystal computers better than anyone, but could not understand energy systems. A Zalani could control pure energy but could not work with solid materials. Humans could learn to do both. Admiral, called Communications Officer Susan Clark. We are getting reports from our scout ships near the galactic border. The aliens are fighting each other. Lisa walked over to Susan's station. Show me. The main screen displayed a map of nearby space. Red dots marked battles between different alien groups. The Vorthak and their allies were fighting the Kreth Empire. Smaller groups were picking sides or staying neutral. How big is this conflict? Lisa asked. From what our spies report, it involves most of the major powers, Susan replied. They are calling it the Galactic War. Lisa nodded. This was what Earth's leaders had been waiting for. While the aliens fought each other, they would pay less attention to the primitive humans. Send a message to all base commanders, Lisa ordered. Operation Expansion is now active. Begin full construction of all planned facilities. Across the solar system, hidden bases came to life. On the dark side of the moon, Commander Betty Nash supervised the construction of Earth's largest shipyard. In the asteroid belt, mining ships pulled metals and materials from floating rocks. Around Jupiter, research stations studied captured alien devices. The aliens barely noticed. To them, humans were still using primitive rockets to travel between their own planets. The galactic powers had more important things to worry about than watching an insignificant species. Dr. Amy Foster worked in a secret laboratory deep inside an asteroid. Her team had made a discovery that could change everything. The strange neural flexibility that let humans learn alien technologies quickly had another benefit. Show me the test results again, Amy said to her assistant, Dr. Patricia. Patricia pulled up data on her screen. Human brains can interface with multiple alien computer systems at the same time. No other species we have studied can do this. They are limited to their own technological base. What does that mean practically? Amy asked. A human can fly a ship with Vorthak crystal computers while using Zalani energy weapons and Kreth life support systems. The aliens cannot mix technologies like that. Their minds are not flexible enough. Amy stared at the data. This was incredible. Humans were not just quick learners. They were the only species that could combine the best technologies from different civilizations. Have you told Admiral Torres about this? Amy asked. Not yet, Patricia replied. I wanted to be completely sure first. Be sure quickly, Amy said. This information could save our species. Meanwhile, in the deeper parts of space, the Galactic War was getting worse. General Thunrock of the Kreth Empire led massive fleets against Vorthak crystal ships. The energy beings called Zalani fought battles that lit up entire star systems. The war was brutal and destructive. Whole worlds were turned to glass. Species that had existed for millions of years were wiped out in days. The great galactic civilization was tearing itself apart. But in all their battle plans and strategic meetings, none of the major powers thought about Earth. Humans were still seen as too primitive to matter. If anyone mentioned them at all, it was only to say that their solar system might be useful after the war ended. Admiral Carlos Wright, Earth's new supreme military commander, read reports from human spies embedded throughout alien space. The aliens were so focused on fighting each other that they had stopped monitoring human activities completely. How many ships do we have now? Carlos asked his staff. 57 combat vessels completed, with another 100 under construction, reported his aide, Captain Roger King. All equipped with hybrid technology systems. Personnel? Every ship has a full crew trained in multi-system operations. Our pilots can handle any combination of alien technologies we might encounter. Carlos looked at the strategic map of human space. What had been empty darkness 2 years ago now showed dozens of bases, shipyards, and defensive positions. Earth was no longer defenseless. What about the artificial intelligence project? Carlos asked. Dr. Foster's team has successfully awakened several AI systems from derelict alien ships, Roger replied. The AIs seem to respond well to human neural patterns. They cannot be controlled by other alien species, but they work with our people. This was another discovery the aliens had not expected. Throughout the galaxy, there were old automated systems and artificial minds left behind by ancient civilizations. Most species could not communicate with these AIs because their thought patterns were too rigid and specialized, but humans with their flexible minds could talk to almost any artificial intelligence. They were waking up computer systems that had been sleeping for thousands of years and learning from technologies far older than any current galactic power. "Sir," called Communications Officer Helen Brooks, "we are getting a priority message from our scouts in the Vorthak region." "What is it?" Carlos asked. "A Vorthak battle group has broken off from their main war fleet. They are heading toward our solar system." Carlos felt his blood go cold. "How many ships?" 37 vessels, including 3 capital ships. They should reach Earth space in 6 days. The room went quiet. This was the moment Earth's leaders had been preparing for. The aliens were finally coming to deal with the human problem. "Send the alert to all commands," Carlos ordered. "The war has found us." As the message went out to every human base and ship, people across the solar system prepared for battle. They had spent 2 years building, learning, and growing stronger. Now they would find out if it had been enough. The aliens still thought Earth was insignificant. They were about to learn how wrong they were. War Prime Thesicala stood in the command center of her crystal flagship. Around her, 36 other Vorthak ships moved through space toward the small yellow star that the humans called Sol. The war against the Kreth Empire was draining resources, and the Vorthak needed new supplies of metals and workers. "How long until we reach the human system?" Thesicala asked her sub-commander. 2 days, War Prime, replied Velthara, a smaller crystal being whose body flickered with tactical displays. "Our scouts report no significant defenses. The humans appear to have only primitive space stations and mining equipment." Thesicala's crystal form glowed with satisfaction. This would be easy. The humans had no shields, no energy weapons, no real military force. They would surrender quickly when they saw the power of a true galactic civilization. "Prepare the conscription orders," Thesicala commanded. "We will take half their population as workers for our war factories. The rest can mine asteroids for us." But at the edge of human space, something was watching the approaching Vorthak fleet. Hidden sensors built into asteroids and ice chunks tracked the alien ships. The information flowed instantly to Earth's military command. Captain Danny Cooper sat in the command chair of the Earth defense ship Phoenix. Around him, 24 other human warships waited in the darkness beyond Pluto. They had turned off all their lights and shut down unnecessary systems. To alien sensors, they would look like floating debris. "All ships report ready," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Steve Murphy. "Admiral Torres confirms we are cleared to engage." Danny nodded. He had served on cargo ships before the aliens rejected Earth's membership. Now he commanded humanity's first line of defense. His ship and crew represented everything humans had, learned and built in the past 2 years. "Remember," Danny spoke to his fleet, "they expect us to be weak and scared. They think we fight with chemical rockets and metal bullets. Let's show them what humans have really been doing." The Vorthak fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the outer edge of the solar system. Their crystal ships were beautiful and terrible, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls glowing with inner light. "Begin deep scan of the system," Thesicala ordered. "Locate all human installations and vessels." "War Prime," Velthara said after a moment. "I am detecting artificial structures throughout the system, far more than our previous intelligence indicated." Thesicala moved to the scanner display. Instead of a few space stations, she saw hundreds of installations. Mining facilities, construction yards, defensive platforms. The humans had been busy. "Still no military vessels of significance," Velthara reported. "I see some ships near the outer planets, but their energy signatures are minimal. Probably cargo haulers." "Proceed as planned," Thesicala decided. "Primitive industrial growth does not change our mission. Signal the fleet to advance." The Vorthak ships moved deeper into the solar system, their crystal hulls shining like deadly stars. They expected no resistance from the humans they had dismissed as insignificant. They were wrong. Danny Cooper watched the alien fleet approach on his tactical display. When the Vorthak ships reached the orbit of Neptune, he gave the order. "All ships Activate systems and attack formation. Let them see us now. Suddenly, 25 human warships appeared on Vorthak sensors. Their hulls lit up with running lights, their weapons powered up, their shields came online. But these were not the primitive vessels the aliens expected. War Prime, Velthara cried in alarm. The human ships are equipped with energy shields, plasma weapons, and gravitic drives. These are not chemical rockets. Theskala stared at the display in shock. The human vessels looked crude compared to Vorthak crystal ships, but their technology was clearly advanced. How is this possible? Our intelligence said they were primitives. The ships are moving to intercept us, Velthara reported. They are using attack formations I do not recognize. Danny opened a communication channel to the Vorthak fleet. Alien vessels, you are entering human space without permission. Turn around and leave now. Theskala's crystal form flashed with anger. Human, I am War Prime Theskala of the Vorthak Empire. You will surrender immediately and prepare for conscription. Resistance will only bring greater suffering. The only ones who will suffer today are invaders, Danny replied. You called us insignificant. Let's see how insignificant we really are. All ships, engage the enemy. The battle began with a fury that neither side expected. Human ships moved in patterns that confused the Vorthak. Instead of forming rigid battle lines like proper galactic powers, the humans spread out and attacked from multiple directions at once. Lieutenant Helen Brooks piloted her fighter in a spinning dive toward you, a Vorthak cruiser. Her ship was tiny compared to the crystal vessel, but it carried weapons that could hurt the enemy. She fired a spread of plasma torpedoes at the alien ship's weapon clusters. Direct hit, she called over the communications network. Their port weapons are offline, but the Vorthak were not helpless. Their crystal ships fired beams of pure energy that could slice through metal like paper. 2 human ships exploded in the first minutes of battle, their crews dying instantly. Reform attack pattern Delta, Danny ordered. Don't give them stationary targets. The human ships began a complex dance around the larger Vorthak vessels. They worked in groups of 3 or 4, with each group focusing on a different enemy ship. When one human vessel was targeted by Vorthak weapons, the others would attack from different angles to draw fire away. Commander Gary Allen led his attack group against the Vorthak flagship. His ship was equipped with a new weapon system based on captured alien technology. Firing graviton pulse, he announced. The weapon hit Theskala's ship and caused massive vibrations throughout its crystal structure. Cracks appeared in the hull and several weapon systems failed. Impossible, Theskala raged. How do primitives have graviton weapons? But the humans had more surprises. As the battle continued, they revealed technologies that should not exist on their ships. Vorthak energy shields powered human vessels. Zelani power cores drove human engines. Kreth life support systems kept human crews alive. War Prime, Velthara reported with growing fear. The human ships are using technologies from multiple species. They have combined systems that should not work together. That is impossible, Theskala said. No species can interface with foreign technologies like that. Neural patterns are too different. But she was watching it happen. Human ships mixed and matched alien technologies in ways that no other species could accomplish. Their crews somehow had the mental flexibility to operate multiple alien systems simultaneously. The tide of battle began to turn. Human ships, though, smaller and fewer in number, started winning through superior tactics and unexpected capabilities. They coordinated their attacks with split-second timing, adapted to Vorthak strategies in real time, and showed no fear of the supposedly superior alien force. Captain Roger King made the most shocking move of the battle. When his ship was severely damaged and about to be destroyed, he did something no civilized species would attempt. He turned off his ship's safety systems and aimed directly at a Vorthak capital ship. This is for everyone who called us primitives, Roger said over the open channel. His ship smashed into the Vorthak vessel at tremendous speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the solar system. It was a kamikaze attack that killed Roger and his crew, but also took out one of the enemy's most powerful vessels. Theskala watched in horror as her fleet began to fall apart. These humans fought like nothing she had ever seen. They were willing to die to protect their home, and they used tactics that went against every rule of civilized warfare. War Prime, Velthera said urgently. We have lost 12 ships. The humans are pressing their attack. I recommend immediate withdrawal. Withdrawal? Thessakala could not believe what she was hearing. The mighty Vorthak Empire, retreating from primitives? But the evidence was clear on her tactical display. Human ships were systematically destroying her fleet through superior coordination, unexpected technology, and sheer determination. All ships, Thessakala finally ordered, retreat to jump distance and prepare for faster-than-light departure. The surviving Vorthak vessels tried to break away from the battle, but the humans pursued them to the edge of the solar system. By the time the aliens escaped into faster-than-light travel, they had lost more than half their force. Danny Cooper watched the last Vorthak ship disappear from his sensors. Around him, his bridge crew cheered and hugged each other. They had done the impossible. They had defeated a major galactic power. Get me Admiral Torres, Danny said. Lisa Torres appeared on the main screen from her command post on Earth. Outstanding work, Captain. How are our losses? 7 ships destroyed, 4 badly damaged, Danny reported. But we sent them running. Lisa smiled grimly. This is just the beginning, Danny. Word of this battle will spread throughout the galaxy. Every alien power will know that Earth is no longer defenseless. She was right. Within days, news of humanity's victory reached every corner of galactic space. The species that had been dismissed as insignificant had just defeated the Vorthak Empire in open battle. The galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. News of Earth's victory over the Vorthak spread through the galaxy like wildfire. In council chambers, military headquarters, and diplomatic centers across hundreds of worlds, alien leaders struggled to understand what had happened. Admiral Carlos Wright sat in his office at Earth's new Space Command Center, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Reports flowed in from human intelligence agents scattered throughout alien space. Every major power was talking about the battle at Earth. Sir, called his aide, Captain Roger King's replacement, Lieutenant Tim Young, we have received contact requests from 47 different species in the past 3 days. Some want to form alliances, others are demanding explanations. Carlos studied the list of names on his screen. Species he had never heard of were suddenly interested in talking to humanity. Any responses from the major powers? Yes, sir. Both the Kreth Empire and the Galactic Council have sent formal communications. Carlos opened the first message. It was from Ambassador General Vuktar of the Kreth Empire. The 4-armed alien appeared on screen, his gray skin marked with war paint. Humans of Earth, Vuktar began. The Kreth Empire has watched your recent victory with great interest. You have proven that you are not the primitives we thought you were. We offer you an alliance against our common enemies, the Vorthak and their council allies. Join us, and we will share advanced weapons technology and grant you territory in conquered systems. The second message came from Emergency Prime Luxandra of the Zelani. The energy being's form shifted colors as it spoke. People of Earth, your unexpected military capability has forced us to reconsider our previous evaluation. The Galactic Council hereby offers you conditional membership. You will serve as auxiliary forces under Council command in the current war. In exchange, you will receive protection and limited access to our technologies. Carlos deleted both messages without finishing them. Earth would not become a junior partner to either side in the Galactic War. Send identical responses to both factions, Carlos told Tim. Earth appreciates their offers but chooses to remain independent at this time. Tim looked worried. Sir, is it wise to reject both major powers? They might see us as a threat if we won't choose sides. They already see us as a threat, Carlos replied. The only question is whether they fear us enough to leave us alone. Across the galaxy, Carlos was proven right. In the crystal cities of the Vorthak homeworld, War Marshal Krexthul addressed the High Command. The humans must be destroyed, he declared to the assembled crystal beings. They have humiliated our forces and proven that our defenses are not perfect. If word spreads that primitives can defeat us, other species might rebel against our authority. On the energy platforms of the Zilani core worlds, similar discussions were taking place. Fleetmaster Quintara spoke to her fellow energy beings. These humans are dangerous beyond their numbers. They can combine technologies that should be incompatible. If they continue to grow in power, they could destabilize the entire galactic order. But humanity was not standing still. Admiral Lisa Torres had been promoted to Supreme Commander of the Terran Federation, Earth's new official government. From her flagship, she directed the rapid expansion of human presence throughout nearby space. Report on colony establishment, Lisa requested from her staff. Commander Betty Nash brought up the tactical display. 17 new settlements established in the past month. All are hidden in asteroid belts or on uninhabitable worlds that aliens ignore. Each colony is self-sufficient and heavily defended. What about our intelligence network? Dr. Amy Foster's teams have successfully placed monitoring stations throughout this sector. We now have advance warning of any alien military movements toward our territory. Dr. Foster's discovery about human neural flexibility had revolutionized Earth's entire approach to galactic technology. Human engineers were now routinely combining systems from different alien civilizations to create weapons and tools that surpassed anything individual species could build. Captain Danny Cooper, now promoted to admiral, led a fleet of exploration ships into previously unexplored regions of space. Their mission was not just to find new worlds for human settlement, but to locate derelict technologies from ancient civilizations. Admiral called his science officer Dr. Patricia Lee. We are detecting artificial structures in the debris field ahead. Danny looked at the main screen. Floating in the darkness were the remains of massive ships, far larger than anything built by current galactic powers. These were relics from civilizations that had existed millions of years ago. Take us in carefully, Danny ordered. Full sensor sweeps for any active systems. As human ships moved through the ancient battlefield, they found treasures beyond imagination. Automated factories still producing materials after eons of abandonment. Artificial intelligences sleeping in computer cores, waiting for someone to wake them. Weapons and technologies that made current alien science look primitive. The key to accessing these ancient systems was humanity's unique neural flexibility. While other species could not interface with technologies outside their own evolutionary path, humans could communicate with almost any artificial intelligence or automated system. Dr. Susan Clark led the team that made first contact with an ancient AI called Prometheus 7. The artificial mind had been waiting in the ruins of its creator's homeworld for 3 million years. Who awakens me? The AI asked when Susan's team activated its communication systems. We are humans from a world called Earth, Susan replied through her neural interface. We are explorers seeking knowledge. Humans, Prometheus 7 repeated, accessing data files from the Galactic Communication Network. You are the species that recently defeated the Vorthak in battle. Interesting. My creators fell to the Vorthak's ancestors eons ago. Will you work with us? Susan asked. Yes, the AI replied. You have proven you can stand against the old tyrannies. I will share what I know. Similar scenes played out across human space as exploration teams awakened dozens of ancient AIs and automated systems. Each one brought new technologies and knowledge that made humanity stronger. But the current galactic powers were not idle. General Thunrock of the Kreth Empire met secretly with War Marshal Krexthul of the Vorthak. Despite their ongoing war, both sides recognized a greater threat. The humans must be stopped before they become too powerful, Thunrock said. Their growth rate is unprecedented. If we continue fighting each other while they expand, they will eventually surpass us both. Krexthul's crystal form flickered with agreement. My scouts report human settlements appearing throughout the frontier regions. They are claiming territory and building defenses faster than we can track them. I propose a temporary ceasefire, Thunrock suggested. We join forces to eliminate the human threat, then resume our war afterward. Emergency Prime Luxandra of the Zilani received similar proposals from smaller alien powers. Species that had been enemies for centuries were suddenly willing to work together against the common threat of human expansion. The humans represent chaos, declared Prime Counselor Zethran of the Crystalline Hegemony. They upset the natural order that has maintained galactic stability for millions of years. But while the aliens debated and planned, humanity continued to grow stronger. Captain Michelle Price led the first human deep space expedition beyond the galactic rim, returning with technologies and allies that no current galactic power had ever imagined. Admiral Steve Murphy established the Terran Defense Grid, a network of hidden bases and automated defenses that protected all human territory. Each installation was equipped with weapon systems that combined the best technologies from dozens of different civilizations. Dr. Kevin Clark's research teams made breakthrough after breakthrough in understanding how to merge incompatible technologies. They created ships that were faster than Vorthak vessels, more powerful than Kreth battleships, and more versatile than anything the Zilani could produce. But perhaps most importantly, humans were proving that cooperation worked better than conquest. When they found smaller alien species being oppressed by the major powers, they offered protection and alliance as equals, rather than demanding submission. The Keth, a peaceful species of plant-based beings, became humanity's first alien allies. After Earth's fleet drove off Vorthak raiders who had been enslaving Keth colonies for centuries, we had given up hope, said Speaker Velthon of the Keth Assembly. The great powers saw us only as resources to be harvested, but you humans fight to protect others, not just to gain power for yourselves. Similar alliances formed with the Miran, aquatic beings whose underwater cities had been raided by Kreth forces, and the Yith, crystalline creatures who had been forced to serve the Vorthak as living computers. As reports of these alliances reached the major galactic powers, their fear of humanity grew even stronger. The humans were not just gaining military strength, they were winning the loyalty of species that had been oppressed for millennia. This cannot continue, War Marshal Krexthul declared to the emergency session of Vorthak High Command. If we allow the humans to continue building this alliance of minor species, they will eventually have the numbers to challenge our dominance directly. General Thunrock came to the same conclusion in his war room on the Kreth capital world. The humans must be crushed now while we still have. The Grand Alliance fleet was the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. Over 1,000 ships from dozens of species moved through space toward human territory. Vorthak crystal vessels sailed alongside Kreth battleships. Zilani energy platforms merged with the war fleets of 100 minor powers. Ancient enemies had put aside millions of years of hatred to face what they saw as an existential threat. Fleet Admiral Michelle Price stood on the bridge of the Terran Federation flagship Defiance, watching the alien armada approach on her tactical displays. Intelligence reports had given her advance warning, but seeing the enemy force still took her breath away. "How many ships are we facing?" she asked her tactical officer. 1,047 confirmed vessels, Lieutenant Nicole Thompson replied, including 63 capital ships and over 400 escort craft. It represents the combined military might of most major galactic powers. Michelle looked at her own fleet status. 187 human ships, plus allied vessels, from the Keth, Miran, and other species humanity had befriended. They were outnumbered more than 3-1. "All captains report ready for battle," announced Communications Officer Jennifer Martin. "Our AI partners confirm their systems are fully operational." That was humanity's secret weapon. Over the past months, human exploration teams had awakened dozens of ancient artificial intelligences from derelict ships and abandoned facilities. These AIs had agreed to join the human cause, bringing with them technologies that predated all current galactic civilizations. War Marshal Krexthul of the Vorthak commanded the Grand Alliance from his massive crystal dreadnought. Around him, holographic displays showed the approaching human fleet. "They have fewer than 200 ships," he told his staff. "Even with their technological improvements, they cannot stand against our combined might." General Thunrock, commanding the Kreth contingent, agreed. "My intelligence reports indicate they have some ancient AI systems, but artificial minds are not warriors. They will break under pressure." Emergency Prime Luxandra of the Zilani flickered with confidence. "Today we end the human threat permanently. After this battle, no species will dare challenge the established galactic order. But the human fleet held more surprises than the aliens realized. Captain Gary Allen commanded a squadron of ships that looked like standard human vessels on the outside. Inside, they carried AI partners who had been waiting for this moment for millions of years. Prometheus 7, are you ready? Gary asked his ship's artificial intelligence. More than ready, Captain Allen, the ancient AI replied. My creators fell to these same species eons ago. Today we have our revenge. Similar conversations took place throughout the human fleet. AIs that had watched their creators die to galactic conquest were finally able to fight back. They brought weapons and defensive systems that the current alien powers had never imagined. The two fleets met in the empty space between star systems. The Battle of the Meridian Nebula began with a coordinated assault by the Grand Alliance. Hundreds of alien ships fired together, creating a wall of energy that should have destroyed any opponent. But the human ships did not break apart under the assault. Their shields, powered by ancient AI technology, held against weapons that could shatter planets. More shocking still, the human vessels began to fight back with equal intensity. Captain Steve Murphy led his attack wing against a formation of Vorthak crystal ships. His vessel, partnered with an AI called Eternal Guardian, moved through the enemy formation like a dancer, avoiding their attacks while striking back with precision that seemed impossible. How are they moving like that? War Marshal Krexthul demanded as he watched human ships flow around his battle formations. Unknown, War Marshal, replied his tactical officer. Their coordination is perfect. They anticipate our moves before we make them. What the aliens did not understand was that the AI partners were linked together in a network that spanned the entire human fleet. They could coordinate attacks and defenses across hundreds of ships simultaneously, something no organic species could accomplish. Commander Helen Brooks found herself facing a Zilani energy platform twice the size of her ship. The alien vessel fired beams of pure energy that could cut through armor like paper, but Helen's AI partner, called Swift Thought, had defensive systems the Zilani had never encountered. Activating phase shields, Swift Thought announced. Helen's ship seemed to flicker and become transparent. The Zilani energy beams passed right through her vessel without causing damage. Before the aliens could understand what had happened, Helen fired back with weapons that disrupted energy patterns, causing the enemy platform to collapse in on itself. The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded on both sides, filling space with debris and fire. But slowly, the tide began to turn, in humanity's favor. The alien fleet, despite its massive size, was fighting the way galactic powers had always fought. Individual species stayed in separate formations, using their own tactics and technologies. The human fleet fought as a single organism. Ships from different squadrons coordinated seamlessly. When one vessel was damaged, others moved to protect it. When an opportunity appeared, multiple ships struck together with perfect timing. General Thunrock watched in growing alarm as his Kreth battle line began to crumble under human assault. This is impossible, he said. They have fewer ships, but they are winning. Their coordination is beyond anything we have seen, reported his aide. They fight as if they share a single mind. That was closer to the truth than the alien commander realized. The AI network allowed human ships to share tactical information instantly. When one captain discovered an effective attack pattern, every other human ship learned it immediately. Admiral Michelle Price coordinated the battle from her flagship, but she was not commanding individual ships. Instead, she directed the overall strategy while AI partners managed the tactical details. It was a form of warfare that no galactic power had ever imagined. The turning point came when Captain Roger King's replacement, Lieutenant Tim Young, led a desperate attack against the Grand Alliance command ship. His squadron was badly outnumbered, but their AI partners had calculated a way to break through the enemy defenses. All ships follow my lead, Tim announced. We're going to end this war today. Tim's vessels moved in formation toward War Marshal Krexthul's Crystal Dreadnought. Alien ships converged on them from all directions, but the human squadron seemed to dance through the crossfire without taking damage. Impossible, Krexthul raged. Nothing can move through that much firepower. but the human ships were using technologies that predated his civilization. Phase shifting, temporal displacement, gravitic manipulation, weapons and defenses that ancient races had developed and the AI partners remembered perfectly. Tim's flagship reached the Vorthak dreadnought and fired a single shot. The weapon looked simple, just a beam of golden light. But it was a disintegrator ray that had been perfected millions of years ago, designed to break down crystal structures at the molecular level. Krexthal's mighty ship began to fall apart around him. "Retreat," he ordered his fleet. All ships retreat immediately, but the Grand Alliance fleet was already breaking apart. With their command ship destroyed and their formations shattered, the alien vessels fled in all directions. Some tried to maintain organized withdrawal, but most simply ran for their home systems as fast as their engines could carry them. Michelle Price watched the enemy fleet scatter on her tactical display. Around her, the bridge crew was cheering and celebrating. They had done the impossible again. Humanity had defeated the combined might of the galactic powers. "Get me casualty reports from all ships," Michelle ordered. 31 vessels lost, 47 damaged, reported Nicole Thompson. The enemy lost over 400 ships, including most of their capital vessels. The victory was complete, but Michelle knew it was only the beginning. Word of this battle would spread throughout the galaxy. Every alien species would know that humanity could not be conquered by traditional means. "Communications, send a message on all galactic frequencies," Michelle said. "Ready to transmit, Admiral," replied Jennifer. Michelle looked directly into the camera that would carry her words to every corner of galactic civilization. "To all species of the galaxy, this is Admiral Michelle Price of the Terran Federation. Today you sent your greatest fleets against us, believing you could destroy humanity through superior numbers and ancient power. You were wrong." She paused, letting her words sink in across 1,000 worlds. "But we do not seek conquest or revenge. We seek only the right to exist as free beings in this galaxy. To those who choose peace, we offer friendship and cooperation. To those who choose war, you have seen what awaits you." The transmission ended, but its effects would ripple through galactic society for generations. The species that had once called Earth insignificant had just proven they could defeat anyone who threatened them. But more importantly, they had shown that there was another way to build galactic civilization. Not through conquest and domination, but through cooperation and mutual respect. The old order was ending. A new age was about to begin. 5 years had passed since the Battle of the Meridian Nebula. The galaxy looked very different now. Where once the great powers had ruled through fear and domination, a new form of government was taking shape. President Jennifer Martin stood at the podium in the rebuilt Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime. The room that had once echoed with alien arrogance and dismissal now hosted representatives from hundreds of species, all gathered to hear humanity's vision for the future. "Friends and colleagues," Jennifer began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. 5 years ago, I stood in this room as a junior officer watching my captain be humiliated and rejected. Today I address you as the elected leader of the reformed Galactic Federation. In the audience sat many of the same aliens who had once called Earth insignificant. War Marshal Krexthul, his crystal form dimmed with age and defeat, listened quietly from his seat in the Vorthak section. General Thunrock, missing 2 of his forearms from battle injuries, represented what remained of the Kreth Empire. Emergency Prime Luxandra flickered weakly, her energy form barely holding together after the trauma of losing the Galactic War. But they were no longer enemies. The devastating defeat at Meridian Nebula had broken the spirit of conquest among the galactic powers. Faced with humanity's offer of peace or the promise of complete destruction, they had chosen to negotiate. "We did not seek this war," Jennifer continued. "You brought it to us when you decided that our existence was inconvenient to your plans. You attacked us because we were different, because we challenged your assumptions about how galactic civilization should work." Admiral Jake Morrison, the former captain who had first been rejected by the Galactic Council, now served as Supreme Chancellor of the Reformed Federation. He sat in the place of honor, surrounded by the representatives of dozens of species that had joined humanity's alliance. The Keth delegation, Their plant-like forms rustling with approval had been among the first to join the human cause. Speaker Velthon rose to address the assembly. For millennia, my people lived in fear of the great powers, he said. We provided resources and labor to the Vorthak, knowing that resistance meant death. The humans showed us that cooperation could be stronger than domination. Similar testimonies came from species throughout the galaxy. The aquatic Myron spoke of liberation from Kreth slavery. The crystalline Yeath described freedom from Vorthak mental control. Dozens of minor species told stories of oppression ended and dignity restored through alliance with Earth. But the most remarkable change was in how the former enemies had been treated. Instead of the conquest and enslavement they expected after defeat, the alien powers found themselves offered something unprecedented: redemption. Commander Gary Allen, now Director of Galactic Reconstruction, had spent 3 years helping former enemy worlds rebuild their shattered fleets and economies. His teams included human engineers working alongside Vorthak technicians, Kreth soldiers, serving under human officers, and Zilani energy beings learning to create rather than destroy. The hardest part, Gary explained to a gathering of new recruits, was convincing them that we meant what we said about cooperation. They expected punishment for their attacks on Earth. Instead, we offered partnership. Dr. Amy Foster had established the Galactic Technology Exchange, where species shared their knowledge freely instead of hoarding it for military advantage. Her research stations throughout the galaxy brought together scientists from hundreds of worlds to work on common problems. Human neural flexibility remains unique, Amy told her staff during a meeting on New Geneva Station. But we have learned to teach other species to be more adaptable. Vorthak crystal technology combined with Zilani energy manipulation is producing breakthroughs we never imagined. The artificial intelligences that had helped humanity win the war now served as teachers and guides for the new galactic community. Prometheus 7 had established an academy where young beings from all species learned to think beyond the limitations of their evolutionary programming. My creators failed because they could not adapt when the galaxy changed, the ancient AI explained to his mixed species class. Humans succeeded because they never stopped learning and growing. That is the lesson we must all embrace. Captain Danny Cooper commanded the first joint species exploration fleet, venturing beyond the galaxy's edge to discover what lay in the dark spaces between star clusters. His crew included former enemies working side by side with humans and their allies. Admiral Cooper, called his Vorthak science officer, Sub-Commander Velthara, the same crystal being who had once served War Marshal Krexthal. We are detecting artificial structures in the void ahead. Take us in carefully, Danny ordered. All departments coordinate for first contact procedures. It was a routine that had been repeated dozens of times as the exploration fleet encountered new species and ancient civilizations in the galactic beyond. Each discovery was shared freely among all members of the Reformed Federation, adding to the common store of knowledge and wonder. Back on Earth, the transformation was equally remarkable. The world that had once been dismissed as a primitive backwater now served as the cultural and diplomatic center of galactic civilization, but it remained recognizably human. In the parks of New Geneva, children from a dozen different species played together while their parents worked on joint research projects. Vorthak younglings learned to appreciate human art and music. Kreth children discovered the joy of human games and stories. Human kids grew up speaking multiple alien languages and thinking in ways their grandparents never could have imagined. Dr. Susan Clark had established the Institute for Interspecies Understanding, where diplomats and cultural ambassadors learned to bridge the gaps between radically different civilizations. Her work had prevented dozens of conflicts and helped species that had been enemies for millions of years find common ground. The key, Susan explained to her students, is remembering that every species sees the universe differently. Our job is not to make them more human, but to find the universal values we all share. The military aspects of human expansion had not been forgotten, but they had been transformed. Fleet Admiral Michelle Price commanded a defensive force that included ships and crews from every member species of the Reformed Federation. Instead of conquest, they focused on exploration, rescue operations, and protection of peaceful worlds. We learned from our own history, Michelle told the graduating class of the Galactic Naval Academy. Military power without moral purpose leads to tyranny. Our strength exists to protect the weak and defend the right of all species to choose their own destiny. The most profound changes, however, were philosophical. The old galactic order had been based on hierarchy, with ancient species dominating younger ones through superior technology and established power. The new federation operated on principles of equality and mutual respect. When disputes arose between member species, they were resolved through negotiation and compromise rather than force. The Federal Assembly included representatives from every world and species, with decisions made through consensus rather than domination. President Jennifer Martin's closing speech to the Galactic Assembly captured the spirit of the new age. "5 years ago, you called us insignificant," she said, looking directly at the representatives of former enemy powers. "You saw our youth as weakness, our differences as flaws, our independence as arrogance. You were wrong about all of it." She paused, letting her words echo through the vast chamber. "But we were not content to simply prove you wrong. We chose to prove that there was a better way. Today, species that warred for millennia work together as equals. Ancient enemies have become trusted friends. Children who might have grown up as slaves now learn and play together in freedom." The assembly erupted in applause that lasted for several minutes. Representatives from hundreds of worlds rose to their feet, acknowledging not just humanity's victory in war, but their greater victory in peace. As the session ended and delegates began to file out of the chamber, many stopped to speak with human representatives. Some offered thanks for liberation from oppression. Others asked for advice on solving problems in their home systems. A few simply wanted to shake hands with members of the species that had changed everything. War Marshal Krexthal approached Admiral Jake Morrison as the Vorthak delegation prepared to leave. The crystal being's form was dim with age, but his mental voice was clear. "Admiral Morrison," he said, "I owe you an apology. When you first came to this chamber seeking membership, I dismissed your species as primitive insects. I was wrong." Jake nodded respectfully. "We all make mistakes, War Marshal. The important thing is learning from them." "Indeed," Krexthal agreed. "Your people have taught us that wisdom is not measured in years of existence, but in the willingness to grow and change. It is a lesson my species needed to learn." Similar conversations took place throughout the chamber as former enemies acknowledged the transformation that had taken place. The galaxy had not just changed governments, it had changed its fundamental understanding of what civilization could become. Later that evening, Jake stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime Station, looking out at the stars. Earth was invisible from this distance, just one tiny dot among billions. But its influence had spread too.